What is good, YouTube? It's Kiara, and for today's video, we're going to be talking about some of my favorite movies that I watched this year. I watched so many movies. These are going to be new movies that were released this year, whether it was in the theaters or on Netflix, any streaming service, all that good stuff. So if you want to hear some of my favorite movies that I watched this year, then please keep watching. So for new movies, there was just so many good ones. So I have 15 top movies and I have 3 honorable mentions to talk about. So let's just jump right in. My first honorable mention is After. The movie finally came out this year and I loved these books. They're some of my favorite books of the year. But the movie wasn't the best. They left out so much of what was in the book and I really didn't like that, but the reason that this is on this list is because of the characters. So Hero and Josephine are perfect. They're exactly what I imagined for Hardin and Tessa, so that's great. And the next one is Done and it should be coming out soon, and it's actually directed by Roger Kumble, who directed Cruel Intentions back in the day, which is essentially the same story. So I'm looking forward to that. They kept them too, so I feel like it's going to be better and I'm hoping, so that's why this is on this list, because I have hopes for the future movies. Next honorable mention is Escape Room. Wow. This movie was so good. It blew my mind. It was such an amazing concept and the ending left me shook, and I am so hoping for a sequel. I'm not sure if they're making one. I haven't really looked it up, but I hope so. 6 people get invited to participate in an escape room where each room is just different tests to try and get through, and of course shit gets wild, things go down, and it was so good. I definitely watch this movie. The last honorable mention is Noelle. This is one of the cutest Christmas movies I have ever seen. So it is about Santa's children and they are polar opposites. Noelle is the epitome of Christmas spirit and Nick not so much, yet he has to take over for being Santa. He leaves, she has to find him, and the ending is exactly what you want to happen. I really did love this movie, and if you haven't already, definitely watch it. And if you have watched it, you cannot tell me that Snowball isn't the cutest thing in the entire world. And number 15 is Joker. Joaquin Phoenix is incredible. Joker tells the story of Arthur Fleck, a suffering comedian who, dealing with the madness and difficulties of the world, slowly starts losing his mind and becomes the Joker. This is not an action movie or a fast-paced movie. This is truly just the process of him losing his mind and slowly becoming so mad that he turns into this mad serial killer. It was so beautifully made and just a masterpiece, truly. Number 14 is Klaus. So I know most people always wonder about where the idea of Christmas and Santa Claus really began in that way. And this kind of gives you the background. It's cute. It gives you something to say when people ask where did this start? It's really cute. Klaus is a toy maker and is approached by a struggling postman to make toys and give them to the children of the town to bring some happiness to this dreary place. It has so much heart and so much joy, and it was so cute. Number 13 is Spider-Man Far From Home. This is set directly after the events of Endgame, and it pays homage to the late, great Iron Man, Mr. Tony Stark. This movie wasn't my favorite. I definitely preferred the first Spider-Man better, but Tom Holland never disappoints. He is 100% my Spider-Man and always will be. I was personally not a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal as a superhero. I just couldn't see it in that way, so that was a struggle for me. So yeah, I really didn't like Mysterio, but other than that, the movie was great. I loved the friendship and the love and between the characters in this movie, and another great Marvel movie to add to the list. 12 is Frozen 2, and I saw this movie twice in the theaters because I loved it so much. My favorite part of these movies is the fact that it's not just one badass woman, it's two, and just because Anna doesn't have the powers like Elsa does, it doesn't make her any less of a badass in this, and it's so cute. And even though she doesn't have those powers, spoiler alert, she still saves everybody in the end, including Elsa. She's a brave little female. I liked this movie so much more than the first one because I really liked the enchanted forest and the elemental aspects of it. I thought that was really creative and it was really cute. And yeah, this movie was so good, and Olaf is still the cutest thing in the entire world. When he's like calling out to all of them and he's like, Elsa, Anna, Samantha. I don't even know a Samantha. Number 11 is Crawl. Jaws, but with alligators. The end. This movie takes place when a storm hits Florida and Haley is in search of her father. She believes he is at the house where the storm is going to hit. She goes to find him and is trapped and essentially hunted by a pack of alligators that have gotten into the basement. This movie gave me so much anxiety and I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I am a huge suspense junkie, and this movie was definitely that. Number 10 is going to need a little bit of a rant, and that is Miss Bala. I loved every single thing about this movie except for the ending. Our main character, Gloria, goes to Tijuana, Mexico to help her best friend Zuzu in a pageant. And while there, Zuzu gets kidnapped, as does Gloria, and Gloria is forced against her will to do some illegal shit with the gang Los Estrellas, and she's doing all of this to find Zuzu. If you haven't watched this movie, skip through this part because I'm about to spoil some stuff. But bro, what kind of ending was this? I understand that what Lino did was awful and disgusting. I get it. But like, you know from the beginning they were supposed to end up together. You know it's supposed to happen. But it didn't. And I was salty. I mean, good for her for being recruited by the CIA and, you know, getting Zuzu back and everything is all great and dandy and whatnot. But like, Ishmael Cruz Cordova could make me into a criminal and I would thank him for it. Let's just be real here. Other than all that, Gina Rodriguez did absolutely amazing, and I loved seeing her as something other than Jane the Virgin. She was amazing. I'm gonna put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video because I just spoil everything. I'm not good at not spoiling. So number 9 is 21 Bridges, and I just want to say I called They Were Dirty Cops from the first knock on the window. I knew it. I knew it. This movie was super predictable, but I was still on the edge of my seat the entire time. 21 Bridges is about 2 men who steal a shit ton of coke, and it's about the NYPD's pursuit of finding them before they escape from Manhattan. I have been waiting for this movie since February. That is when we first saw the trailer, and it just came out in November, but it was definitely worth the hype. The only thing, Chadwick Boseman did incredible. He was so good, but I missed the Wakanda accent. It wasn't the same. Coming in at number 8 is Shaft, the new Shaft. So I watched the original Shaft this year and I loved it. It's become one of my favorite movies of all time. In this Shaft, Junior, John Shaft's son, needs his help in order to find out what happened to his best friend who was killed. This had so much humor and it was just so much fun to watch, and I really did love it. And at the ending scene, it was all 3 of the Shafts put together for one iconic moment, and it was perfect. Great way to end it. Number 7, I was debating putting on this list because I kind of hated it, but I did. It is Last Christmas. Sing the song and it literally tells the story. Bro, I did not see this coming until the very end of the movie when all of the events, it just made sense as to what was going on, and I was like, what? I love when movies do this and they just completely blindside you. Last Christmas is about a girl named Kate who is extremely sick and has kind of lost all Christmas spirit, and it's about her slowly regaining that Christmas spirit with the help of her newfound love interest. He helps her see life in a new way, and I loved it so much from the very beginning to the end. I don't want to spoil this just in case you haven't watched it and you're still watching this video, because it was so good, and it's so good going in just not knowing anything. Coming in at number 6 is The Dirt. I've watched this movie so many times this year, and I will continue to watch it because I loved it so much. The Dirt is the story of the legendary rock band Motley Crue. I have been told stories about this band and each of the individuals since I was a kid. My mom would tell me all the crazy things that they did, and I was just shook from all of it, and to see it come to life on the screen was amazing. All 4 of the main characters in this did amazing, but MGK and Douglas Booth were incredible, especially Douglas Booth. I've only known him from the LOL with Miley Cyrus, and he was so cute, but that was just kind of basic, and this was like a whole different character to see him in, and he was amazing. I was blown away by their talent, their insanity, their carelessness, their recklessness, and I am praying that I get to see them live in a concert to see this chaos in person. Hey, so I'm literally sitting here editing, and I can't believe I talked about The Dirt and didn't talk about this iconic scene, okay? So they have a scene involving Ozzy Osbourne, and if you've seen this movie, you know what scene I'm talking about, and bro, it just creeps me out. I'm literally terrified of Ozzy Osbourne now. Like, he's just, I understand that he has done drugs his entire existence, and hard drugs at that, so it kind of, you know, messed him up a little bit, but just like knowing that this literally happened in person. What? Please watch this movie just so you can know what scene I'm talking about, and you will be just as creeped out and weirded out as I am. It's so weird. And number 5 is The Lion King, the live action version. I was raised on all of the Lion King movies, and I am actually named after Simba and Nala's daughter Kiara, so Lion King is definitely really big in my house. This is another movie that I saw in theaters twice because it was so good. You cannot go into this movie comparing it to the original because nothing can touch an original movie. It just doesn't work like that. So go in with just a clear mind, and that's what I did, and that is why I loved it as much as I did. The single best thing about this movie was the fact that they kept James Earl Jones as the voice of Mufasa. He's the original Mufasa as well, because nobody can mimic that soulful, incredible, chill-raising voice that he has. So that was amazing. Number 4 is another live action, and that is Aladdin. So the original Aladdin is my favorite Disney movie, probably my favorite movie of all time. Nothing will ever touch it. I love it so much, so that is why I was a bit skeptical going into this movie, but I was wrong. When I first heard that they were making a live action Aladdin, I initially thought of Naomi Scott because I saw her in Lemonade Mouth, and she really does remind you of her. And then it got announced that it was her, and I was like, and it made me want to watch it even more. Aside from her being amazing, Will Smith definitely did Robin Williams proud. He put a spin on it, so it's not like you're copying his character, which you could never do because Robin Williams is a legend, but he held his own, and they're amazing in different ways. One thing I really did like about this version better than the original is how strong they portrayed Princess Jasmine and how they allowed her to be Sultan. I believe that she deserved it from the beginning because she is a female, so you're bringing in an outsider to come and rule your city. That just doesn't make sense. So they fixed it here, and it was incredible. We are now at the top 3, and coming in at number 3 is Charlie's Angels, another set of movies that I was raised on, and my mom was raised on the TV show, so going into this we were super excited. We love some badass women. We love a female Bosley. That was probably the best thing about this. Of course, it pays homage to all of the other angels. Also, it shows a cutscene at the end of some, badass, powerful, big names of all women in this industry. Kristen Stewart was amazing. Naomi Scott was amazing. But the third angel, it's Ella Balinska, was the star. Watching her fight was incredible. She was such a badass. I really loved every time she was on the screen. It was great. The only thing I did not like about this movie is the fact that Patrick Stewart, who is Professor X, is a bad guy. What? Professor X cannot be a bad guy. He's literally a saint. I don't understand. That's the only thing. Other than that, the movie was incredible. So, can I be the next angel? Coming in at number 2 is Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. I laughed when I heard that this movie was being made because I was like, you can't claim it as a Fast and Furious movie if Dom's not in it. It just doesn't make sense. Boy, was I wrong. I still don't associate it with the Fast and Furious series because it's very different, but I loved it. I saw it twice. Once again, another movie I saw it twice in the theaters. Putting Hobbs and Shaw together was genius. I loved the constant shit-talking and the bickering between the two of them. It's why you liked them originally in the Fast and the Furious movies. I loved the family dynamic on both ends that you see on both Hobbs and Shaw. They're very big because obviously that is what the Fast and the Furious is all about. Dom is super into family, and that is like their code to live by, and they definitely kept that true, so I appreciated that. One of the best scenes is the final fight scene with Jason Statham, The Rock, and Idris Elba. The fact that they finally had to work together to take him down was perfect. I also don't like seeing Idris Elba as a bad guy either, but he was incredible. Definitely watch this movie, and be sure to tell Jason Statham that I'm looking for a sugar daddy. I've made it. I don't think I'm mentally prepared to talk about this yet, but my number 1 movie of 2019 that I saw was Avengers Endgame. This is by far the best movie of the year, and honestly maybe one of the best movies ever made. I saw this movie opening night. I saw it the very first time it was premiering at my theater, and nothing will ever replace that night. This was the culmination of everything building for the past 11 years, and it wrapped everything up so perfectly and ended exactly as we all knew it was going to. You get everything from this movie. You get love, you get anger, you get hate, you get joy, you get family, you get heartbreak. It was a lot. Now, when I tell you I never cry, I am not a super emotional person. That's just not who I am. And at the beginning of the movie, I knew it was going to happen, so for the first 20 minutes, I was crying, and then I remember from the portals that appear to the end, I was bawling. I don't think I've ever cried like that over a movie, and yet I did. There is just so much to talk about, so let's break this down. Major moment was, of course, the portals and bringing everybody back. You knew it was going to happen, but I don't think anybody expected to feel the way that it made you feel when you see all the portals and you see every person. And this is the first time you've seen every single Avenger and every character that was mentioned all on one screen together, and it's so overpowering, and it's like the perfect way to start that final battle scene. And of course, you finally hear the words that everybody has said time and time again and have waited for. You hear Cap finally say, "Avengers Assemble," and I just remember hearing the audience gasp because we have been waiting for this, and it happened. The next major moment to talk about is Black Widow's death. When her and Clint offered to go, we knew, because we watched Avengers Infinity War, so you knew what was going to happen and you just didn't want to expect it. And you also knew the type of person that Natasha is and how she knows Clint has a family and has a life and it's kind of just her, and you knew what was going to happen. I think they announced that one Avenger is coming back to life, and I think it's going to be her. I'm hoping it's her, but I just don't know how it's gonna happen, so I guess we'll see. The next is literally just Loki. Where you at? Loki is my second favorite character in the Marvel Universe, period. There's nobody. I love him so much. Tom Hiddleston does incredible. But, like, I just need answers to his whole situation. Like, I need the movie to come out. Is it a movie or is it a show? I don't know. But I need it to be released so I can see this and I can get some answers. Next is probably one of the biggest moments, and not just Marvel history, but in movie history. Yeah, and that would be Captain America rising up and wielding both his broken shield and Thor's hammer. When I tell you that the audience, because I was in a gigantic theater, all started screaming because you knew it. You knew from the time when he almost picked up his hammer and how if anybody was worthy, it would be Cap. So it was just, wow. Next is just Cap at the end. I am super, super, super happy for him that he's finally happy, and he, he got his dance with Peggy, and that's all you could have wanted for him, and he passed the torch. That's wonderful. But it's still sad. It's hard to picture the Avengers all together without Cap. It's very sad. And of course, the part I was dreading more than anything in this world. But if you did pay attention before that, you knew that RDJ said he didn't want to play Iron Man anymore, that he was just, it was time. So you kind of knew what was going to happen, and I had guessed it before, and that would be Iron Man's death. He did it. He saved the universe. He saved everybody, and he is gone. Iron Man dying might have killed a piece of my soul as well. Everybody knows that Iron Man is my favorite Avenger, and it's not just Iron Man. Tony Stark makes it, and RDJ makes it. RDJ is one of my favorite human beings on the planet as well. So it was a lot. This is 11 years beginning with him all coming to an end, and it was so overwhelming there. And I remember not just me crying, but hearing the audience, and some people were sobbing so hard over this. And it was like, this is an iconic moment. This will never happen again. This is somebody who began such a movement and such an incredible franchise coming to an end. So of course Marvel and the Avengers are not coming to an end, but the person who began it all is gone. It's hard. It's so sad. When Peter Parker embraced Iron Man at the very end, if you didn't cry, I will never trust you, ever, because that pulled at so many heartstrings, and that was so hard because this is his father figure. This is somebody who was there for him and believed in him from the beginning, and he's gone. After it ended and the credits started, I just remember not hearing anything in the theater, and everybody was just in silence trying to process everything that had just occurred and all of the events that had happened, and it was just wild. This was just hands down the best movie ever, and it's everything we could have ever wanted from it. Joe and Anthony Russo, you guys truly are legends, and I appreciate you. Also, the post-credit sound, where it is the sound of Tony Stark building his first ever Iron Man suit in the cave, brought back so much. It was the perfect way to end. I'm glad they didn't do a post-credit scene because this is supposed to be the culmination of this phase. This is supposed to be the end. This is supposed to be everything wrapped up, and it was perfect. You don't want a spoiler for the next one because this is supposed to be the end of an era and then you're beginning the next. So there you have it. Sorry for some of the rants in this. I really do love movies so much. But that is all of my favorite new movies that I saw in 2019, and now I am super excited for all these new movies coming out in 2020. Let's get it. I'm ready for these roaring 20s. And yeah, if you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like, be sure to share and subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell if you want to be notified every time that I post a new video. Also, all my social media will be listed down below in the description. I post a lot more on that, so definitely give that a follow. And yeah, until next time.